My oldest beloved grandson was in first grade, and I went to visit his school to hear about the new reading program. I came home and told my daughter that I didn't understand a word the teacher said, and that was because I thought she really didn't understand it herself. My daughter was helping my grandson. We went to school to get the next little primers. The teacher said, "We don't use those anymore." And she showed us a very beautiful anthology of stories. My daughter looked at it and she said, "Well, but my little boy can't read those words. Can all the other children read those words?" And the teacher said, "Well, some can and some can't." And so I began this venture of trying to find out what the issue was about reading in California and what was going on. I found that it was something called literature-based instruction. I didn't know what that meant. And in that year, I was driving on the freeway, and I was listening to public radio, as I always do. People were talking about the issue of reading, and I thought, oh, this is quite remarkable. They're talking about exactly what I see as the problem, but no one seems to have a solution. When I talked to the local people, they led me to the research, which was just like this great light. I thought, there is a solution.
For the last 20 years in education reform, there's been tremendous amounts of conflict about well-intentioned people trying to figure out what's best for children.
It's a tremendous challenge. Particularly in a state like California, its size, diversity, people from different backgrounds, educational preparation.
10 years ago in California, reading was all over the board. There was no statewide program, and there was a lot of debate as to how to teach reading, whether it would be whole language or phonics.
It has been difficult to change a major system. We have 300,000 teachers in California. We have 6 million students. We have various sizes of districts. We have people at different levels of readiness. The fact is, to change this system consistently is difficult, but it's happening.
Part of it is just expectation levels, and part of it is a belief system. Frankly, a lot of folks in education have not believed that all children can learn at a high level.
The California Reading Initiative essentially is intended to try to ensure that every young person masters the art of reading, because it is the gateway to learning.
Reading is such a gateway skill. If a child learns how to read and learns a love of reading, then they can explore the whole world. They can explore everything on the internet. They can explore all of their text. They can explore their library. They can become a really empowered learner, both as a student and as an adult and citizen.
We start with the standards, we provide the frameworks, we provide the textbooks, we provide the teacher training, and then we provide a system that says, are the kids getting it? And you know what? We are making progress.
There are 7 components of California's Comprehensive Reading Initiative.
It begins with a policy of content standards,
Curriculum framework,
an assessment and accountability system,
Instructional Materials,
professional development,
district-wide adoption,
teacher education.
You've got to have the content standards, because every teacher needs to understand what it is that the youngster needs to master from level to level to level, and that's what content standards are. What is it that I'm expecting the youngster to be able to know and be able to do?
The history behind the standards was the fact we had a lack of standards and the children weren't learning. And it became very apparent that standards were absolutely essential.
Content standards are hugely important. In my opinion, the content standards are the most significant move toward equity, because the content standards don't say, let's sort out the kids and let's see who can learn what.
when you talk about a curriculum framework, that's what scaffolding means. That means that a teacher has an opportunity to look across the curriculum, to look at this whole framework and hang her hat on the fact that she has knowledge of where she's getting her youngsters to. She knows her framework. She also knows the framework of the class that's next above hers.
We decided that as the Committee on the Curriculum Commission that we were going to take the framework in a different direction. We wanted to take the framework in the direction of current and confirmed research, scientific research that meant how the children actually learn to read and write, not someone's theory.
It serves as a model for how teachers can teach to the California content standards.
One of the biggest challenges in implementing the framework is teachers' knowledge of the standards. Many teachers have seen the book and have read the book, but that's very different from a deep knowledge. I believe that this deep knowledge will come as teachers begin to use the standards-aligned instructional materials. I believe the materials will help teachers to learn it in their bones.
I see children reading. I see children writing now. Now I see children sounding out words and then trying to spell the word if they don't know how to spell it. Or they'll grab a dictionary, and dictionaries are in the classroom again. It's okay to have a dictionary on the desk. Children are learning to become systematic, automatic, fluent decoders so that they can concentrate more on their comprehension skills and strategies so that they can understand exactly what they're reading and writing.
Assessment and accountability is another real important thing for the teacher. Without a good assessment tool, then there's no way to really understand the accountability, and there's accountability for the learner as well as the teacher.
For many years in California, there was no accountability system. There also was not a statewide test. That's all changed. Now we have a statewide test that we use to monitor student achievement, that we use to inform our policy decisions. We also have a system of accountability that measures schools through our API, the Academic Performance Index, to give us a feel for how students are doing in California.
One of the great things about our reading program is every 6 weeks we have a diagnostic assessment. And if you do that accurately and well, you can then determine what each of your students in the class need work on in order to be at grade level, and you can change your instruction to get them to that level.
If you don't monitor things, they don't happen. We no longer feel in our hearts that the kids are doing well or not doing well. We have hard copy of how we're doing as a district, how we're doing school to school, how we're doing year to year. So the accountability is essential to making this change happen.
It's kind of like an x-ray. You go into a doc and say, take an x-ray. You know what the condition of your body is, and then you know what to work on. That's what these assessments do.
If you don't have instructional materials that feed back into the content standard, that do not also have a pacing program, an assessment, and those kinds of things, well, then all of this pretty much falls apart.
The instructional material is the tool for connecting what kids are supposed to know and what they actually will end up demonstrating that they do know.
The English learner used to be a supplement that we would put out in addition to the textbook. In our new adopted material, it's actually included in the main text. Those are the kinds of things we're doing so that we don't see just 3 or 4 years of improvement, but we see 30 or 40 years worth of improvement, and that's what we're looking for.
Professional development simply allows us to provide teachers with the support they need, but we back that up with, we know now that this is not professional development that's hit and miss that we used to do. Oh, you go to a workshop and you take this or you take that.
I think that this is something that teachers felt uncomfortable with at first, because maybe the idea is that maybe we have to engage in this professional development because perhaps the skills that you have are not adequate or not appropriate and you need to learn more. But really, professional development, shouldn't be looked at that way. Professional development serves the purpose of renewing one's strategies and practices.
This is a sea change in how we teach children reading and mathematics. It's a major change, and you can't simply say to teachers, oh gosh, go figure it out. I mean, teachers are the key component to this, and without training, the materials won't work and kids won't learn.
The primary challenge really is the magnitude of the initiative. That is, there are so many teachers in California who need to be retrained, And the governor has asked us to try to do that in a very short span of time.
When you think about the district-wide adoption, it's about why a school district would want to have one reading program. Variations may be on a theme, but one reading program that allows every teacher to understand what the framework is, what the content standard is, how the instructional materials feed into and fold into that. And so it's important to do this district-wide.
There's a great deal of intellectual activity going on in this district. And it's really curious because this is one of those large urban districts that everybody kind of is giving up on. I find more intellectual energy in terms of improving reading skills in this district than anywhere in the country right now. And look, it doesn't take rocket science to get this done. It takes pure understanding and discipline and saying, we're going to do it. And if you can't get it done, get out of the way and let somebody else do it.
The real key to most of this is how are we training teachers and how are they coming out of teacher training academies and how are they coming out of higher ed institutions. And you can now hang all of this onto and begin to prepare teachers so that when they come into the classroom, they've been trained in such a way that they understand what it means to do standards-based instruction and all of the other things that we've talked about.
In 1998, the State Board of Education passed a whole new set of content standards, and they are very significant content standards, some of the highest in the nation.
We have to look very carefully at the way our teachers are being prepared at the university level. I think it is so important that we not have to retrain all of our teachers once they get in the public schools. That is very costly, and I think it's a very serious mistake.
Nothing is more important than teacher education. We can talk a lot about what we do in the central office or what we do in any phase of leadership, but where it happens is in the classroom. And what the teacher knows and believes and is able to do and is supported to do is absolutely what drives what happens with students.
I think California has finally got it right, that we are on the right track. And the reason I know that is that I spent many years, starting in 1965 with the passage of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, of attempts to really improve the education system for all children and for children's increase in achievement. And somehow, we never quite got it right. The difference now is that we are focusing on what is really critical. That is the teacher, the child, the instructional material, and the training of the teacher to deliver that.
What's been accomplished recently in the Los Angeles Unified School District, that's something that people said would probably never happen. And it's happening. That's an enormous step forward. And when I think, having visited many of their schools, and when I think about those beautiful children, and the fact that they have opportunities now. They have opportunities that they never had before. And do we have a long ways to go? Of course we do. But what a big step for all of those kids. And what a big step for a state like California. If you can do it in California, you can do it anywhere.
It's going to be great if an entire state, if everybody's on the same page and working toward the same direction, and we know that it's not going to change next year, and we know that we're moving forward.
It's a long-term process, and it's very important that we stay the course.
If we can do this, I'm sure we'll be the first state that can hang all this together, connect everything, and see it through. But that's the key.
I think reading takes people beyond, because it offers avenues, texts that open the world to you. I think of Emily Dickinson. There is no frigate like a book to take us lands away, nor any coursers like a page of prancing poetry. This traverse may the poorest take without a press of toll. How frugal is the chariot that bears the human soul. And for me, this is what literature can do. It can take our soul to new lands.
Well, you know what reading could do for the children of California in taking them beyond is beyond their current level of performance, beyond their current level of opportunity. beyond their current level of appreciation of what life holds out. I mean, reading does really take you beyond where you are.
Freedom, excitement, adventure, and wonderful opportunity.
Oh my gosh, it takes you beyond everything that you thought you could do, and it helps you understand all the possibilities of things that you can do. Reading takes you beyond the narrow confines of your own life, your own neighborhood, your own circumstances, and it just opens up this marvelous world for people.
Well, I define reading as the freedom skill, that without it, you're not free. And no matter what laws we pass, no matter what we say about our republic, people aren't free who can't read. So reading takes you beyond everything.
The only way we're going to make it is to be sure that we have a system where the children are taught these standards, and it's every child, every grade, every year, every day, and you can't get off course. That we finally got it, we finally got it right,